So, if you've seen any videos on my channel, you probably know that I like superheroes. A lot. But if there's a ton of heroes, then there has to be the face of them. A hero that when someone says, think of a superhero, you think of that person first. And that hero, of course, is Booster Gold. Oh, sorry, I think the time stream is messed up. The hero I meant to say is Superman. This character has had so much stories in history, and his comics are very consistent, which is something you can't say about a lot of characters like Spider-Man. So today, we're looking at why Superman is the face of superheroes, but first, this video is sponsored by... me. This video is sponsored by me. Subscribe to Roman Noodle 21. Superman first appeared in Action Comics issue 1 from 1938. Wow, that's a long time ago. In his first ever comics, he couldn't even fly. He could just jump really far. Superman gained a bit of popularity, and then DC rebooted. That's gonna happen a lot. Superman had some new stories, but then something happened that would change the superhero genre forever. Justice League of America issue 1 released, and now, Superman was on a team with Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Aquaman, and Martian Manhunter. And then DC rebooted. Before we got the reboot, we gotta talk about the movie that was released, and that is Superman the Movie, directed by Richard Donner. This movie was revolutionary, and that is mainly because of Christopher Reeves, who played Superman. The movie is a banger, and I would definitely recommend watching it. So, Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, and it reset the DC universe. Supergirl and other super people were gone, which just left the main Superman. Superman is now a super well-known character, so I think it's time to talk about his villains. First, you got his main villain, Lex Luthor. He's an evil businessman and a D1 hater. He also uses a power armor to fight him on a 1v1. Then you got Bizarro. This dude is basically a backwards version of Superman. Like, he has laser breath and ice vision. Next is General Zod, an evil Kryptonian guy. And then we have one of my favorites, Brainiac. This dude collects planets and gains knowledge. Then you got the big bad of DC, Darkseid. He's the ruler of the planet Apokolips, and that's all the villains I feel like talking about. The most eventful thing to happen in this era is the death of Superman, where he fought Doomsday and died. Nowadays, nobody cares if someone dies in comics because we know they'll just come back, but this was different. This was really the first time a big comic character died, and people were wondering what would happen next. But there was a problem. DC had 4 ongoing Superman runs, and now that Superman was dead, they had to find something to do with those comics, so we got the reign of the Supermen. Cyborg Superman, the Eradicator, Steel, and Superboy were all different versions of Superman. Just look at Superboy's drip! Although soon after, the real Superman returned, but with an all-black suit and a mullet. What do you expect? It's the 90s. This suit could actually absorb the sun's energy better, and that's of course how he gets his powers. Alright, let's talk about the rest of the Christopher Reeves movies. I love Superman 2. It's not as good as the first one, but it's still really good. And part of the reason is that it's so cheesy. Clark Kent wants to be with Lois Lane, but his weird projection thing shows his mom, and she says that to be with Lois, Clark has to give up his powers. Why, you might ask? I have the same question. In the scene where Superman tries to get his powers, he can't because of kryptonite, but in the next scene, we just see him flying towards General Zod. But the thing is, this movie is not directed by Richard Donner, it's directed by Richard Lester. However, there is a version of the movie directed by Richard Donner that you can watch, which has the iconic scene of Lois Lane jumping off the Daily Planet since she knows Clark Kent is Superman. So this is a peak movie, but I can't say the same for Superman 3. Superman only has like 8 minutes of screen time, and the movie's mostly about Gus Gorman. I wish I was joking. While this movie is bad, Superman 4 Quest for Peace might be worse, and I don't even want to talk about that, so let's get into the last 90s comic to talk about, Kingdom Come. This comic is out of continuity, and it takes place in the future. Now, there are a lot more heroes in this story than just Superman, but he is kind of the main character. So basically, Superman, Batman, and all the other heroes we know are retired. So there's a bunch of new superheroes that kill people. So Superman rebuilds the Justice League and they try to stop these new heroes. The artist is Alex Ross, and this is one of the best looking comics ever. Ross does a photorealistic art style and every character pops. Now around this time, we got the second animated series to the DC animated universe, and that is Superman the Animated Series. It's nowhere near as good as Batman the Animated Series, but it's still good. I especially like the episodes with Darkseid. Anyways, time to get into the early 2000s. Now first up, Supergirl was back after being absent for a long time. She's a big part of the Superman lore, so it's good to see that she's back. During this time, the most popular Superman comic released, and that is All-Star Superman. Another out-of-continuity storyline. After absorbing tons of radiation from the sun, Superman becomes way more powerful, but he only has a year left to live. The story is just so special and amazing. Around this time, there was a new movie for this character, Superman Returns. This movie takes place in the Christopher Reeves Superman universe, but all the characters are completely recasted. This movie is okay, but easily not the worst Superman movie. Boy, we're gonna talk about some more bad ones soon. Now, it's time to talk about the Injustice series, and I'm just gonna talk about both games right now. The first Injustice actually has a pretty crazy story. In another universe, Joker kills Superman's wife who is pregnant and destroys Metropolis, killing around 5 million people. Superman kills the Joker and enslaves the planet, so Batman brings DC heroes from a more normal universe to try to stop this evil Superman. Normally, I wouldn't like a Superman like this, but this Superman is clearly a different take on the character, so I really like it. I also think Injustice 2 has a pretty good story. Superman and Batman's forces need to team up to stop Brainiac, and I actually really like the game. The Injustice games actually have really good narratives in my opinion. Anyways, a comic event called Flashpoint was released, and it rebooted the DC universe once again. Now, we are in one of the most controversial eras of DC, the New 52. On one side, we got great comics like the Batman run, which had Batman facing the Court of Owls, and the Justice League run was really good. And then you have stuff like Teen Titans. Now for the Superman run, I'm kind of mixed on it. Superman felt angry and detached, and was one of the lower points for the character. But also, the New 52 has always fascinated me. Popular characters went to ground zero again. Old stories made new, but a lot of that just didn't land. Now, there was also an Action Comics run happening around this time, and I don't know how I feel about it. It's just alright. Another thing that happened was Lois Lane was no longer Superman's main love interest, and instead it was Wonder Woman. Now, the New 52 wouldn't last for long since people didn't like it, so we got a kind of reboot with DC Rebirth. But first, we gotta talk about the DCEU. The DCU was supposed to be a competitor to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it failed. The first movie in this universe was Man of Steel. In my opinion, this is one of the worst comic book movies ever. Superman didn't feel like himself, and he had a lot of problems I had with the New 52 version of the character. He was dark, not really a symbol of hope, and destroyed half of Metropolis. You heard me. He also killed General Zod, which the character would never do. And all around, I just don't like this movie. The next DCEU movie would be Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and I like this movie less than Man of Steel. Batman kills people, Lex Luthor is basically the Riddler, and it shows the aftermath of Superman killing half of Metropolis. I feel like I'm kind of making an over-exaggeration. Also, Superman died. Also, this is the second movie of the DCEU. I don't want to talk about this universe anymore. Let's just go to DC Rebirth. So, as I said, DC Rebirth is kind of a reboot. Basically, I think like 15 years of the character's histories were taken away, so they just brought it back. That confuses me too. I'm still glad they did it. Superman was now married to Lois Lane and had a son, John Kent. John Kent in his earlier years was super fun and had a really good friendship with Damian Wayne. Just so you know, I no longer have beef with Damian Wayne. He's a good character in recent comics. Still the worst Robin, but still good. Now, for DC Rebirth, there was a 6-issue comic called Superman Up in the Sky, which is, in my opinion, the greatest Superman comic of all time. Superman's main mission is to save a little girl who's in space, and he has to overcome a lot of obstacles to save her, like encountering Darkseid. So, yeah. Wait. There's a typo here. Look at that typo. You see what it says? What? It's a great story. And then DC ruined John Kent. DC had the great idea to just age up John Kent. Now, instead of being pals with Damian Wayne, he's now pals with Nightwing. Hey, that's a W, but still! There is a bit where old Johnny Boy was the main Superman, and then Dawn of DC happened. It's not a reboot, but there are other creatives in charge. Around this time, there was a new cartoon, My Adventures with Superman. It's a really good show, and it takes the character back to his roots, and he saves cats from cheese. After Dawn of DC, a new initiative happened known as DC All-In, which is where we are right now. A little bit ago, at the time of recording, Superman directed by James Gunn released, and it's my favorite Superman movie. Clark Kent is depicted perfectly, Lex Luthor is great, and it has so much heart. If you want my full thoughts on the movie, I have a video where I review both Superman and Fantastic Four First Steps. So after the video, consider checking it out. And now we're at today, where DC All-In is still happening and there's a new DC event, DC KO. Also, there is an alternate universe in DC, the Absolute Universe. It's a world created by Darkseid and the heroes have to face crazy odds. In this world, Superman grew up on Krypton before it exploded, so he has more to grieve. Alright, Superman has come a long way in movies, shows, comics, and more. There are some things I didn't talk about, like Superman and Lois in the Superman Returns video game, but I covered a lot. Now, we're back to the original question. Why is Superman the face of superheroes? Well, he's bright, he's hopeful, his stories are very consistent except for the 2010s. He's the first ever superhero, and to be honest, most of it is because of his name. Superman just sounds like a superhero name. But I love Superman, and he's awesome. A symbol of hope. And it's outro time! So, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Jesus is king, and I'll see y'all in the next one!
I am the glob glow gab galab, the schwabble double wabble gabble flibber blabber blab. I'm full of schwibble glibber kind. I am the yeast of thoughts and minds. Schwabble dabble glibber glabber schwibble schwab glab. Nibble double shwibble schwabble glibber glab schwab. Schwabble double glibber glabber schwibble schwab dab. Nibble double shwibble schwabble glibber schwab glab. Ooh, ha ha ha, splendid.